You've had Wendy's Nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new Saucy Nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey, barbecue, garlic, parm, or of course the hot variations of all three of those. Or if you're a real heat seeker, try the spicy ghost pepper. I dare you. Only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you have never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by Wendy's. It is a Wendy's Sauciest Take Wednesday. And of course, we're going to start you off with a guy who brings the sauce every time he comes on our show or he does his own shows on ESPN. The great Booger McFarland is going to join us today. We're going to talk about what it's like to play in a huge game like this. He's played in 2 Super Bowls, so he knows. Won 2 Super Bowls. Ari, we are going to then issue our saucy takes for the national title game.
I'm super excited about that. It's right around the corner, man. I can't believe we're here. It's been a fast season, an unfortunately fast one, but it's here, and I'm super excited to get out to Atlanta and talk to Booger and be on the show with you today.
I think it felt so fast for us because you got dropped into the equation on day 1 of the season. Like the games had started. Like we missed the entire preamble. Like we have 9 months to get everybody ready for the season to reheat our takes. It's going to be different.
Yeah. Also too, Andy, bonus little feature here, but send me a helmet. Did I show you this?
Look at that. That is gorgeous.
So I got to figure out a way. This is a Visus helmet, and they gave me the chin strap and everything. I put it on, and it's pretty cool, but it's going to be a nice little office centerpiece here, and we're going to have to figure out a way to display this a little bit better.
I think you may have to do the show in the helmet.
One of these days, if I'm feeling myself, I'll do it. Thanks a lot to the helmet company.
Lotus in the chat doesn't quite understand the title of the show. Ari's been on every podcast in the past week. We know his take, laugh out loud. Yes, his name's on the show. He's in every episode.
I think he means every other episode too. I've been on a lot of guest appearances this week.
You have been making the rounds because listen, they know you're going to bring it every time. That's why you get asked.
Yeah, and like, listen, I've got a saucy take today that might cast some doubt onto some of the thoughts that I have about this. So, like, and listen too, like, just because I think Ohio State's going to win doesn't mean they're going to. So, that's why they play the games, and I'm wrong all the time, and blah blah blah. You know that, but I'm just doing the best that I can to give you my honest pick, my honest insight, my honest thoughts. Whether you like the thought.
I think these saucy take episodes give us a chance to maybe challenge some of the things that we're thinking about. I think that helps. I think it helps us contextualize the way we're thinking about the game, and because it basically challenges us to say, what's the craziest thing you can realistically say about this game?
Yeah. I'm excited to hear what your guys' are. I didn't look. I don't like to know before, but I wrote about Notre Dame. You're writing about Ohio State. Like we have been kind of in the weeds on this, done a lot of guest appearances, and I'm just super excited to get into it.
Oh, it's going to be great. And we got another guy who has some very strong opinions about all things college football. So let's talk to him right now. The great Booger McFarland joining us right now. It is our great honor to be joined by a guy who told Philip Fulmer, no, sir, I don't want to play center. I'm a defensive tackle. And then he went to LSU. Booger McFarland. How are we doing, Booger?
What's going on, fella? How we doing?
I am good. That is one of my favorite stories of yours, the Tennessee recruiting visit where Philip Fulmer is trying to get you to imagine somebody putting their hands on your posterior every play, because this was a very under-centered time still. And you're like, nah.
Yeah, Phil just wanted to know, could I envision it? And I'm like, nah, Phil, like the idea of Peyton Manning sliding his hands down my rear end 60 times a game and 60 times a day in practice probably wasn't the right way to get me to come to Knoxville.
I mean,
and then you ended up playing with Peyton Manning anyway. So
exactly.
it all worked out.
I guess if you were going to have one person's hand slide down there 60 times in practice and 60 times in a game, it would be Peyton Manning. I mean, that'd be a pretty good person to have. But it is just an unbelievable pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Glad to be here.
So we got the national title game coming up, Ohio State, Notre Dame. And I'm curious from your perspective, like from the day Ohio State lost to Michigan to now, how do you think they've become what they've become?
Well, pressure is real, man. And it's amazing. I didn't believe it, but it's amazing to me how much pressure the state of Ohio, people that went to Ohio State, put on that team for that game. I can't fathom it. I've tried to figure it out. I've tried to get people to explain it to me, and nobody really can do it to the level that I can understand it. But the only thing I can figure out, Andy, is they put so much pressure on that team that they got to be perfect and they got to win that game. They got to be physical and they have to beat Michigan the Michigan way, that they go out and they play that game so tight. They play that game not to lose. And then all of a sudden you lose that game. And then there's the flag planting thing that happens after the game. And I think at that point, as a team and as a coaching staff, you got to go back and say, okay, guys, we lost the biggest game in the history of Ohio State for this season. Now what? Okay, we're going to still have an opportunity to make the playoff. And if we make the playoff, like we're talented enough, do y'all want to go win it? Just maybe. And I don't know if you'll ever convince anybody in Ohio of this, but maybe, just maybe, the national championship means more than beating Michigan. And I think this team has finally figured it out. And they're like, okay, let's go out and just play, man. Let's just play and just let it all hang out. And I think you saw that against Tennessee. Like, they came out and threw haymakers early. Like, you saw that when they went against Oregon, haymaker after haymaker. This team is super talented. I think this team is and when they play to their potential, man, like, I don't think there's anybody could beat them. And I thought Texas was really good, and that game was closer than 14 points. But in the end, I think maybe the pressure game finally went away, and it allowed this team to play free. Because if that's not the reason, I have no idea how they played this way, played that way against Michigan, and now they're playing this way in the playoffs.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. It feels like kind of like an unsolved mysteries case of like, how did that happen? Because it's such a bizarre result. But, Ohio State isn't the only team in this game that bounced back from a pretty embarrassing day, and that's Notre Dame. What have you seen from them in terms of their progression this year and how they got to this point, Booger?
Talk about the resiliency, man. Like, you talk about a team that if you go back and look at their starting 22 as compared to where they are now, like they're probably down, 7, 8 starters from the original 22 on the depth chart. And still in all, they're playing for a national championship. That just speaks to the culture that Marcus Freeman has built. It speaks to the depth that they've recruited at. It speaks to the mental toughness this team has. Now, with all that being said, it's going to be a tough road to hoe Monday night, because they've won and they have to win a certain way. They're not super explosive in the passing game. They have to be physical at the line of scrimmage, and they have a quarterback that's got to be super gutsy and has got to make some plays. And that was good enough against Penn State, who I think helped them out. That was good enough against Indiana. Is that going to be good enough against maybe team in the country? I don't know. I think if you ask anybody outside of South Bend, they would probably say this game is not going to be close. But, strange things happen for touchdown Jesus. So I got to see this thing play out Monday night.
Well, what do you think the path would be, Boog, for a Notre Dame win in this game?
Well, to me, it's really simple. It's Will Howard, a couple of turnovers. It's Chip Kelly and, Ryan Day kind of getting away from the things that got him here, which is, being explosive, getting the ball to those receivers 17, getting the ball to Tate, getting the ball to Ibuka, getting the ball to Smith, like, get the ball to your playmakers. If they turn in to say, okay, we want to feature Travion and Quinshawn in this game and we want to run it 40 times, then if that's the case, they're playing right into Notre Dame's hands. I don't think they're going to do that. But even then, they're still going to need a couple of turnovers. Penn State's going to have to get a defensive score. I think Notre Dame's got to get a defensive score. Notre Dame's got to get a couple of explosive plays down the field from Riley Leonard. And if they can do that, then I think we could have a ball game. But that's a lot of things that they need to happen. Because if this game is played straight up, if this game is played turnover free, if this game is played both teams playing to their potential, I think it's a 9-10 point game where I favor Ohio State. So football is never played that way. So let's see how the ball bounces on Monday night.
Yeah, when you think about just being in a position where a lot of things have to go your way, like as we're all trying to create this path, right? Like Notre Dame's got to play mistake-free, turnover-free football on offense. Yeah. They've got to suck Ohio State into playing on their terms. Like, it's a lot to ask. If you're Notre Dame, you know, even going back to like what we talked about when it came to Ohio State and not being able to play free or play loose against Michigan, how does Notre Dame simultaneously play loose, but also know there's like 20 things on their checklist that they're going to have to accomplish in order to be in this game in the fourth quarter?
Well, because they're the underdog, and anytime you're the underdog, you're not thinking about all those things that need to go your way. All you're thinking about is, I got an opportunity, I got a chance. That's it. And you know, strange things happen when you're the underdog, man, because you go out there with that mentality that nobody thinks you can win, and if you're the underdog, you just need something good to happen early. They need a tip ball for a turnover early. It needs to be 10-3 Notre Dame at the end of the first quarter. Like, they need a great start, not a good start. They need a great start, because here's what happens. It's 22 humans on the field, and emotions play a huge part. Mindset plays a huge part. And if Ohio State starts feeling tight and they start saying, man, this team is up on us and we're supposed to win and we're not winning, and now they start playing tight, and Will Howard reverts back to the Michigan game where he throws a pick almost from the goal line, and you're like, how did you throw that one? Or he reverts back to the Penn State game when he throws the pick again, pick six, I think. Like, you need something like that to happen. And humans have emotions, and players play tight, man. I've been there. I've been a young player. I've played nervous before. You just got to hope that if you're an Ohio State fan, that those guys don't get in that position. And if you're Notre Dame, man, just let it go. Just freewheel this thing. You're Riley Leonard. This is an opportunity that Notre Dame has kind of waited on. They've waited on for a long time. And I think this new era of the transfer portal and NIL has balanced college football out, where a lot of teams are going to be in this position, I think, at some point. Notre Dame gets the first crack at it against one of the big boys. And I think that they have to relish the opportunity that they're going to have, and just go out there and just play free, man, and let it go, and hope Ohio State gets tight and they don't perform to their best.
So you played in multiple Super Bowls. What was that first one like? Like, what are the days leading up to that first career Super Bowl like when you were with the Bucs?
You don't sleep at night. Like the night before the game is played in your mind. The game is kind of going over and over. You envision making plays. You envision winning. You envision things happening in your favor. Whereas the second Super Bowl, I didn't sleep the night before the game, but it was nervous energy because I knew I was ready to play. And I think, you know, you're going to be nervous. If anybody tells you they're not nervous, they're lying. You're going to be anxious. It's going to be a big moment because it's the biggest game of the year, whether it's college or pro or whatever. Like, it's the most eyeballs you're going to see all year. Super Bowl's 125, 130 million. The national championship will get 35, 40 million people watching the game. And so you just want to go out and perform at your best. But here's the one commonality of both games is that when toe meets leather, man, it's football. Like, when the ball is kicked off and you go out there and you hit somebody, you realize that it's still 60 minutes. And I think that's what these teams will realize. Like, there'll be a lot of pomp and circumstance. There'll be more people on the field come Monday night than they've ever seen before. I mean, it'll be not only Herb Street's dog will be there, it may be some other animals running around. Who knows what's going to be running around?
Maybe Lane will send the Ole Miss squirrel.
It'll be so many animals out there. Auburn may send the eagle to fly down through the, because this thing is shaped like a bird's nest anyway. And once all that's done, they're going to send 22 guys out there, and toe's going to meet leather. And it turns into normal football at that point. And I think the team that can make it a football game the quickest allows themselves the opportunity to play their best.
What did you anticipate in this first year of the 12-team playoff, and what did you think about how it all played out so far?
I think the 12-team playoff was designed to include more people. It did that. It was designed to kind of galvanize college football. That way, there were more meaningful games throughout the season, longer in the season. We didn't just get to a point where if you weren't in the top four, you didn't pay attention to college football. So I do think that the 12-team playoff, and let me first say this, I was against it. See, I don't need to include everybody. I don't think there's 12 teams that can win a national championship in college football. But what I will say is the college football playoff, this 12-team format really made me change my mind because it's been really, really good for college football. As far as the format, there's been a lot of talk about, your conference champion getting buys. They should just get in the tournament, not get a bye. And I think the powers that be is going to have a hard time changing that because from what I understand, and Andy, you can help me out with this, from what I've heard, it's got to be a unanimous decision for them to change it.
For next year. But they can change it for 26.
Okay, so for 25, it's not changing. Because if you're the Big 12 and you're the ACC, you're not changing this. Like, it's going to be this way in 25. Now, 26, they may change it, which they probably will. And you would like to see the best four teams get the bye. And to be honest with you, all four teams that have byes lost. So, like, did the bye, was it rust or was it the fact that we gave the wrong teams the byes? Like, that'll be a debate. I do like the aspect of hosting a home playoff game, though. To me, there's nothing like the college football atmosphere on your campus. And if you told me my team will be healthy, I may not even want to bye. Because if you're LSU or if you're Oklahoma or if you're Kansas State or whoever, Iowa State, and you can host a game, a playoff game on your campus, especially at night, man, talk about the revenue, talk about the fan base, talk about the pageantry and tradition on your campus. I think that's something that's been really, really neat about the playoffs.
Well, and you know how I feel about LSU's atmosphere. Like, I can't even imagine what a playoff game at LSU would look like.
Yeah, I can't either. But you know what? I don't want to imagine it. I want to see it. That's what I text BK all the time. Like, it's time,
Hey, they're active in the portal right now. Like, they're going after it now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going after it. Like, there's 17,000 kids in the portal. Like, if you can't put together a roster, that means either A, you don't know how, or B, you don't have any money. I don't think LSU's in either one of those positions. So let's see how this roster shapes. Because a trip to the fake Death Valley is coming. I think it's Labor Day weekend, LSU at Clemson. And yes, I said the fake Death Valley because the following year they come to the real Death Valley. So we'll see. We'll see. Because, LSU's got, I think they're going to wind up having 15 or 18 guys out of the portal. Dabo finally may take one or two. So it's going to be in a transfer NIL portal era. It's going to be a team that's dibbled and dabbled in the portal like LSU against a team in Dabo who may have one or two on his team. Two of the kind of blue bloods of college football. I know we're 6 months away or 7 or however many months away, but I can't wait for that one.
Booger, when you text Brian Kelly, it's time to go get a championship, or it's time, our time's now. What does he respond?
He knows. Like, BK understands where he's at. Every coach that comes to LSU, I tell them all the same thing. I'm loyal to the 3 letters, not to you. So you're always going to get honesty from me because I am loyal to my program, and I'm loyal because I want to see those kids win, and I want to see LSU be successful. So when I text any of them, man, going all the way back to Les Miles and even now to BK, I text them from a football analyst standpoint what I see, and it's the pure, honest truth. And sometimes it's, hey, man, great job. I love how you did X, Y, Z. Or sometimes it's, you know what? This was poor. What you did, how we played, what we're doing is not good enough. And so I think as a coach, you can respect it, or at least I hope he does. BK and I got a good relationship. I think he's openly said he came to LSU for an opportunity to win a championship. So, like, what I'm saying and what I text him, there's no secret. Like, what's already known doesn't need to be said.
Well, and the other thing is, it's the last 3 guys won a national championship.
Yeah.
You've got, and by the way, Notre Dame's in the national championship game. So he came from a place where you could do it too. So the pressure might be on a little bit now.
He did
Pressure's
say that
definitely-
he was rooting for Notre Dame today. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, yeah. I mean, what else is he going? What is he going to say? I'm not rooting for him. Like, there's only one thing he can say. I will say
Like, he
this,
could be
though,
a
'cause-
full heel.
Or he could. I will say this in defending BK, because everybody's been playing the clip about him leaving Notre Dame and why he left. He left Notre Dame, and I think when he made this statement, it was a true statement because it was pre-NIL, pre-transfer portal. Now, since the transfer portal and NIL has taken place, you can win anywhere. But to defend him a little bit, his comment was made before the portal and transfers and this whole NIL stuff was allowed. So I think that's changed. And I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I think that's changed the landscape of college football where more teams can compete at the highest level. Whereas before, Alabama could stack 4 or 5 stars and they would wait 2 years to play.
Yep.
That's not the
It's an
case
important
anymore.
distinction because when he left for LSU to win a title, Notre Dame probably had a more limited ceiling than they do right now. Right. So like, the fact that they're in the title game with players that he helped recruit there is a bad look. But if you really understand the sport, you probably can understand too how Notre Dame was able to fix it so quickly. And maybe he wouldn't have left had this system existed back then too. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I still think that LSU is a more likely team from a resource, geography, tradition standpoint to win a national championship. But hey, I might look like an idiot in 48 hours. Who knows, or whatever on Monday.
Boog, if you'd played in this era, if you had NIL money and effectively a salary, what's the first thing you'd have bought?
I would have took care of my mama, man. Listen, I come from a poor family, man. My mama raised 3 kids on government assistance, man. $18,538 a year, man. So if I would have gotten 7 figures or 6 figures, I would have sent some money home to mama, taking care of her, because without her, I wouldn't even be where I would have been at this point. So I think when you look at it, a lot of kids are doing that. Some kids are. I think the biggest thing that bothers me about this era is you get 17 and 18-year-olds, Andy, that now become the dictator in the family. And just because they got money. And to me, that's not how kids need to be raised. And that's not how, as a parent, you need to raise your kid. I don't care if you got $1 million in the bank. I'm still your daddy. Okay. I don't care if you got a Lamborghini. I'm still your mama. And there's a certain way we're going to do things as far as the hierarchy in the family. Because money, I don't care how much money you got. My mom would have told me I'll still slap the hell out of you. And so I just hope parents realize that just because your kid has money, you don't have to stop being a parent. I would have loved to get some of these NIL deal, man, like a Popeyes deal. Can you imagine
Hell
being
yeah.
able to Popeyes and anytime I wanted to get chicken? Oh man, I mean, Jesus Christ, Lord have mercy. But to be honest with you guys, I don't know if I would be as determined as I am now. Like there's a certain mental toughness that I grew up and developed coming through LSU, dealing with Jerry DiNardo, having to go and take $6 on the weekend and get Chinese food because the cafeteria wasn't open, just trying to survive. Having to buy pizza and eat pizza for lunch and dinner on one day because I only had $10 and you could buy one pizza. So like all those things that the kids in my era went through, it made you appreciate where you are now. And it also made you appreciate the things you got when you did get them. I don't know if kids appreciate that now though, man, but I'm happy.
I just want to because I think about all the things I didn't know when I was 20, 22. Yeah. Like I just want to walk up to some of these guys that are getting, 6 figures and just be like, don't do it. I don't care if you blow it on booze, if you blow it on a car, but put a down payment on a house.
Yeah.
Or if you got enough, just buy a house straight out, like buy a $300,000 house if you can buy it and just have it because that'll set you up. Like just that would set you up.
But kids aren't thinking about that, but parents are. That's why parents got to tell these kids, hey, if you got $1 million or if you got whatever, number one, we got to pay Uncle Sam because if you don't pay him, he's going to come looking for you. And 2, buy something that is going to increase in value and not decrease. Okay, land, houses, things that are going to be assets in the future. But parents know that, kids don't, man. The only part I get jealous about, guys, is this. Man, I see these kids riding around. They got Rolls Royces, they got Lamborghinis, they got private jet deals. Man, my freshman year, I didn't have a car. My sophomore year, I didn't have a car. My junior year, the guy that gave me my first job gave me his Isuzu pickup, and you probably have never heard of.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had friends who had Isuzu pickups in the 90s.
That's what I had. I had a 2-door Isuzu pickup stick shift. $20 filled it up, and it would carry me all week. And when I got it, it had 180,000 miles on it. So, like, that's what I had. Could you imagine 17, 18, 19-year-old Boog with a Lamborghini? I may be dead by now because the first thing I would do is go 180 miles an hour.
Andy, what was your first car?
A Toyota Corolla.
How'd you fit in it?
Not well, but it got it. Look, you said $20 filled up your truck.
Yeah,
$9 filled up my Corolla, and that sucker went for days. So
that Corolla is still on the road too. I bet.
I bet my Corolla still works. Like I sold it to somebody, 7 years later, but I bet it still works.
They're still making Corollas. They don't make the Isuzu pickup anymore.
No. I just remember Joe Isuzu in the commercials, the guy who would lie. So most of our audience has never seen a Joe Isuzu commercial. So
exactly.
All right, but before I let you go, we got to talk. So National Championship Weekend. For those who don't know, Boog and I have a little tradition. We usually get together on National Championship Weekend for a meal.
Yep.
I think last year was our best one yet. We had Pinkerton's Barbecue in Houston. Ari, they bring this tray out. There's so much brisket. There's a beef rib. There's pulled pork. There's every side. And we're with Kevin Nagandi. And Kevin's like, can I get some turkey?
Yeah, because Kevin doesn't eat pork. So all he eats is turkey
or beef.
Chicken. Or beef. So that means that Andy and I got to eat everything else, which is no problem. We did. It's not a problem at all. But it was just funny when you juxtapose the look in our eyes, and then they bring out this turkey. And I mean, I'm a sausage guy. We got sausage everywhere. I got sauce going. And here's Nagandi over there with some turkey and some mac and cheese or whatever. I'm like, dude, you can have all of that. I need this beef and this sausage, this spice. I need this in my life.
Well, I hope I can
so
crash
good.
this
Grant
dinner this
Pinkerton,
year.
by the way, huge Texas fan. Sorry they didn't win, but thank you for that meal.
Yeah, he was great, dude. And by the way, the what was the name that everybody was calling Matthew McConaughey? The minister of what?
Minister of Culture.
The minister of culture. How did he get that name? I meant to ask somebody this.
I think he gave it to himself, which, like, I don't know, Boog, you played on a lot of teams. Like, you're not supposed to be able to give yourself your own nickname, but I guess you're Matthew McConaughey. You can get away with it.
You listen. I've been a fan of his since he made the movie A Time to Kill. I'm a fan. He can do whatever he wants to do.
Well, and
I'm trying to think of Samuel L. Jackson line for that movie. And I hope you rot in hell.
That's it. That was it.
Yeah. So now, actually, because you go by a nickname in life.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that, or did someone give that to you? Because like you brought your nickname into college.
Yeah. My mom gave me that name when I was 2 years old, dude. Like when you're from the country, like I'm from a small town, probably 3,500 people, 4 or 5 stoplights. The biggest thing in my town is Walmart. That's where everybody congregates on a Friday night in the parking lot. And when you come from a town like that, that's rural, everyone has a nickname. My brother's Catfish, my sister's Treetop, and I was Booger. And I didn't like it early on, but the older I got, the more I kind of gave into it, realizing that I would leave home one day. And so when I left to go to LSU, I'm like, yeah, I'll be Anthony for the rest of my life. Well, little did I know, they had done articles and stories, and people went to my hometown and talked to my mom, and she told them everything, of course. And so the first tackle I made in Tiger Stadium, the PA announcer says tackle by Booger McFarland. And I'm like, how in the hell did he find that out? And that was the last day that I really tried to fight it. So I've been Booger since I was 2, but I kind of gave into it my freshman year at LSU, to the point when I got to ESPN, they asked me, so how do you want to be fonted? I said, well, what is fonted? Well, how do you want your name to be on the television? I said, Booger. I said, that's 2 O's and not a U. And they were like, you don't want Anthony? I said, nobody calls me Anthony. I said, if we want to connect the relationship, I said, people that know me call me Booger. People that don't call me Anthony. So if I'm trying to connect with the viewer, put up Booger. So I've been Booger for a long time, man.
Listen, the Anthony Mobile would not have hit as hard.
I don't know if the Booger Mobile hit hard anyway. Either way, I don't know.
The Booger Mobile was awesome. Like Tony Siragusa stole that from me, right?
Well, I mean, rest in peace to the Goose, man. Like Goose, everybody was trying to do something different and unique on the sideline. So I give ESPN a lot of credit. And if it wasn't for a loud, obnoxious fan in New York that really kind of just and this is where social media it can help you and sometimes it can hurt you. And it can I think it really hurt that particular device because social media really kind of was like, we don't need this. And it, you know how it is when something starts going viral and there it went. And so that was the death of the Booger Mobile. So it's somewhere at the Chapman company's probably ranch somewhere in California right now.
So, okay. Because you're in studio now, so you're not worrying about this.
Yes.
Our man Cole Kublik needs the Booger Mobile brought out of mothballs. Can you imagine? Because Cole's great at diagnosing line play from sideline level. Can you imagine if he had a little bit higher view?
Yeah, Cole is awesome, man. Like Cole is one of my really good friends in life, man. It's been cool to see him on the sideline doing his deal. He does a phenomenal job. Here's what I tell Cole also. He's a sponsor whore. Like he's got more sponsors on the sideline. I'm like, dude, like what shoes are you wearing? I'm like, I've never heard of this brand. I guarantee you they're free though. And he just starts laughing. But he is great.
Cole's worked in local radio, so he knows like you don't drive a car that you pay for if you work in local radio.
No doubt about it. Him and McElroy do a show in Birmingham.
That's right. I was on it yesterday. So, Boog, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you in Atlanta. I've been texting Booger restaurants. There's a biscuit place that's open since the last time I've been there that we may have to hit.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I'm Ari, just to bring you in a little bit. 5 or 6 years ago, when Andy was fat, like we used to eat a lot more. Now that Andy's skinny, we don't eat as much. And full disclosure, I used to be a lot fatter too. So when Andy and I were probably combined 100 pounds heavier, like we used to go really hard. Now we talk about eating a lot and we eat a lot, but nowhere near what we used to eat back in the day.
There's a picture of us from a steakhouse in New Orleans a few years ago. I think it was Clemson was playing the Sugar Bowl against Alabama, I think, because we saw Dabo that night.
Yeah.
And you were smaller than me at that point. And I was like, Boog is getting it. So I gotta get on whatever Boog's doing.
Hey, I've been trying to stay on it, man. Like sometimes it's tough, dude. I like to eat. So my Peloton has been great. I live by it. I get in the gym. But yeah, man, you know how it is. As you get older, you can't eat as much, but who cares? I love ribs. I love cheeseburgers. I love meat. So I'm gonna keep eating.
Well, and that Popeyes card that Boog mentioned, if Popeyes is listening and they want to give that to me, 100%. My freshman year, we're in the Sugar Bowl. They give you the per diem. I didn't even know they gave us cash for anything. They just handed me an envelope full of money. I'm like, what's this for? This is like they go, to get meals when we don't have a meal for you. The Popeyes on Canal Street got every dollar of that envelope.
Yes, Popeyes.
Every single one.
How about that?
So, Boog, thank you so much.
Anytime. Hey, glad to be on. Ari, very nice meeting you, man. Don't let Andy bring you over to the dark side, man. Stay nice and professional.
I'm laughing at the end of that interview because Ari's mic was muted for like the last 5 minutes, and he didn't know it.
We need to get the graphic up.
We do. That helmet looks great on you.
Yeah, I have this microphone that if you touch it, it goes mute, and I need to get used to that. But yeah, this is the new helmet that Shut sent us.
I like it.
Do I look like I can pancake somebody?
Absolutely. Your brain is well protected. I appreciate that from Shut, and that's a slick looking helmet. Okay, we need to get you a straw if you're gonna drink.
Hey,
so you need to be like when I was in high school when you had the PVC pipe that had the hose connected to it, and they punched a bunch of holes in it, and there's just water streaming out, and everybody's in their helmets just like gong.
Yeah, I tried to get into the interview like 10 times, and you guys just kept going. I'm like, I was like, what the hell's going on here? And the thing, I'm happy you did a good job of asking the questions, but the thing that I was kind of disappointed about, Andy, was that like want to get in on this meal in Atlanta, and I'll help you guys put down some food.
We can make
don't
that
know
happen.
if we have a restaurant picked out, but I eat beef and I eat pork and I eat chicken.
Good.
I'm a carnivore, so let's figure something out because
we can make that happen. And Kevin Nagandi's welcome to come with us too. We'll make sure there's some chicken or turkey or fish for Kevin. So
that's why he's like a good looking fit guy, Like
yeah, I know. I mean, listen, when you're on TV, you gotta bring it every day, and Kevin brings it he has an amazing tie collection as well, Kevin Nagandi.
It's crazy. Like I haven't really worn a helmet since high school football, and like it's still the muscle memory of like clipping it is all.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Well, my son has we won't advertise the different brand, but he has a different brand, and instead of having to clip your chin strap on, it just loosens and then he just pulls it. And he saw somebody wearing a Schutt helmet the other day, where the Schutt helmets you unclip like this. So there's 4 clips, and then the 2 up here stay on, and then the 2 back here you pull so you can pull the helmet off. And he's like, "You're not supposed to take those off." I'm like, "You are when you have that helmet, because that's the helmet." Like I wore a Schutt in high school, so most comfortable helmet going. Thank you, Schutt. By the way,
the new like the holes, and I'm sure this is safer.
Yep.
I still am afraid to hit people though, which is why I never made it in the sport.
Don't
But
be
I'm happy that I have.
It's fun. The human body craves contact.
Yeah. Well,
Scott in the chat says, "I would pay to see Andy and Booger in an Isuzu pickup with 2 buckets from Popeyes." Oh, listen, sign me up. I like Booger said, or when Booger said that, it brought me back, because I had a friend with an Isuzu pickup. I had 2 friends with the little Nissan pickup. Like that was you could pick those up used pretty good price. So that was a big item.
There's
in
one
the
thing
mid 90s in Central Florida.
Didn't realize though that like overseas, Isuzu is still making brand new 2025 pickup trucks. So if you really wanted one, you could get one.
So I could get not the pickup truck. Yeah. Also the Isuzu Trooper. Let's not forget the Trooper. I just like saying Isuzu Trooper.
Yeah, the Isuzu pickup truck is called a D-Max, and you can get it in Thailand. And it's 4
There
doors.
we go.
It actually looks just like a Toyota Tacoma. I don't know if there's any correlation between those two, but
they may come off the same line at this point, because the Isuzu Trooper and the Honda Passport were the same thing back in the day.
That they have like certain cars in Europe that they don't have here. Like they have some like Ford or Chevy Blazer like competitors in Europe that are kind of like the Bronco but looks slick, and it's like, I want one of those. Can I get one made in Europe and shipped over here?
I remember when I was on my honeymoon in Jamaica years ago, everybody drove a Mitsubishi Lancer, and I was like, "What is that?" Because they didn't have those here. Now they have those here.
They have them here,
yeah. So yeah, there's different markets. I would like to drive my F-150 in London. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I think that they look at your truck and are just like, "Oh, Americans." I think your truck is the man.
Oh, it's the most American truck I could buy. Yes.
Like you're just missing a big ass American flag to hang off the back of that thing, because if you put some Popeyes in there, then you've got the whole kit.
Well, that's the thing. Like the country dudes out where I live, the thing you do is you have a flag stand that you put in the middle of the bed of your pickup, and you fly the American flag from the middle of the bed of the pickup. It's a beautiful thing. It's gorgeous.
My first car, I want to hear everyone's first car. I get a kick out of this. My first car was a 1998 Oldsmobile Intrigue. Remember Oldsmobiles?
I remember Oldsmobiles. I don't remember the Intrigue. Like I remember the 88 and the Alero.
It was very.
Now I gotta look this up.
I'm gonna send it to River. He can put it up on the screen here. But this car was electric, and I got my first like 5 speeding tickets in that, and then we were off to the races. So
it can go. Oh my god! How did you manage to get past the speed limit in this?
Things electric, dude. It was
That's
fast.
The most basic car ever produced by an American car company.
The 89.
It's like, how can we make the most boring car possible? This is it,
dude. You don't talk about my car like that. I had ladies in there, but it got real.
I'm sure you did, because of your amazing personality, not because of your Oldsmobile.
I got cars when I went to college. My dad gave me a 2003 Cadillac CTS, and do you remember those cars back in the day? That was pretty sweet. And then
those are nice. Yeah.
Honda
okay,
Accord.
there it is.
Yeah, there it is, man. That was Cactus Shadows High School 2003 right there.
So
Playing
Kevin Chavis. Kevin Chavis says his first was a 96 Pontiac Grand Am. That was a piece of crap. My wife had one of those when we met. It left her stranded on the side of the road. I don't know how many times. And when we took it to the last time, we took it to the nearest dealership to get it looked at. And they're like, we don't know what's wrong with it. We're like, what do you mean you don't know what's wrong with it? We're like, we don't know. Why does he just stop on the interstate? We don't know.
Dude, this thing, my dad has a policy in life that he will never buy a car with an engine that has less than 6 cylinders. I don't know where that came from, but it's real. And that car, it could scoot, man. Don't talk about
we need to write down your dad's rule. This is a good off-season project. We need to have every Friday, because when the off-season starts, we're going to start doing shows on Friday because we're not going to have the post-game Saturday shows or anything like that. We need to have a every Friday rules for life. Everybody different. We'll have guests, bring them on. I would love Bob Wasserman's rules for life, because my kids and I have a running joke that I only have 3 rules for life. The 3 rules for life that will make you a happy person and make you a person who can get along with other people. Never complain about free food. Never complain about free beer. Never skip leg day. If you follow those 3 rules, you will live a happy life.
Yeah, my dad always used to say, "I'm not getting a 4-banger." I don't even know where he heard it from. Yeah, listen, if you think I'm a bizarre human, you got to also remember that I came from somebody. I learned life from somebody, and that person behind the curtain is the scary guy. But there's a lot of Bob Wasserman, propaganda.
Even when you don't know it, I bet there's Bob that. That's why we should bring him on and let him
maybe one day
describe his rules for life. I think that'd be tremendous.
Yeah, he's watching right now. If he wants to toss in the chat one of his rules for life. But another rule is don't get food from a restaurant that doesn't specialize in that type of food, and don't go to restaurants that have menus that have multiple types of cuisines, which I thought was a pretty good thing, because he said that means they don't do any of it right.
I laugh every time I see when you drive past a place that's like, we have pizza and chicken wings and tacos. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Nothing. It's like when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback.
Right.
Give me the restaurant that has 5 menu items all in the same general family, and they do them all great. But that's the great, and another one that I've picked up just being around you that I know came from Bob Wasserman is that I wish someone had told me this when I was 20. Buy blue chip stocks and just hold them.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
I realize there's a bunch of you who are like, well, duh. Okay, but I didn't even know what a stock was when I was 20. So we don't all come up in that environment. So these are the things we'll do that in the off season, though. That'll be fun. But now it is, of course,
see how soft I
Wednesday.
am. I can't even hold the helmet on long. I'm already I was getting a little
listen, you got to condition. There's a reason they make you wear the helmets for 3 days before you can put the rest of the pads on. Got to get conditioned.
Yeah, but that's how soft I am. I can't even wear it for 5 minutes on a podcast. But again, thanks to Shut, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to present this. It's really cool. I don't know if I got to do some floating shelves here in the off season or something, but we're gonna spruce up the office, and I'm happy to have it here. And also too, just what a great office centerpiece to have our logo on there. That's great. Thanks again.
Beautiful. All right, another one of our fine sponsors is Wendy's, and it is, of course, a Wendy's Saucy Take Wednesday. So our 3 sauciest takes about the national title game, one from each of us, one from me, one from you, one from Producer River. My saucy take: Jeremiyah Love got what he wanted. Now he has to back it up and show out. Jeremiyah Love will rush for more than 100 yards against Ohio State. Now, it hasn't been that long since someone did this, but it's very hard to do. Khalil Mullings did this in the Michigan-Ohio State game. But Jeremiyah Love called out Ohio State. After they beat Penn State, he's like, we want to play Ohio State because we think they're the best. We think we should have beaten them when we played them last year. We'd rather play them than Texas. We think they're better than Texas. We want Ohio State, which I appreciate. I love that. If you say that, you got to back it up. I think he can back it up. Now, this also kind of helps my game prediction where I predicted a 21-17 Ohio State win, because if you have an opponent on the other side running for a bunch of yards, it's going to keep your score down because they're controlling the clock. But it's probably not going to necessarily create enough points for them to beat you. And so that's where I'm at for that one. Let's look at this through the lens of our friends at Prize Picks. So download the app, best daily fantasy game in America. Use the code Staples when you sign up. Play $5, get $50 instantly. Let us see Jeremiyah Love square for the national title game. 45.5 rushing yards.
Because that's a pretty, like, I don't know if you realized it when you made the take. Very saucy, Andy.
It's very saucy. So
very saucy take.
Let's put it this way. Ohio State has only given up 100 rushing yards, period, a few times this season.
Yeah, they ranked number 3 nationally in rushing defense with 89 points.
Six times this season, the opponent has eclipsed 100 yards. And in multiple cases, it really didn't matter. Like the Tennessee game, for example, that was just, or the game was out of hand. Tennessee gained some yards toward the end. But instructive ones, Penn State gained 120. That game was close. The Nebraska game, which has the same final score that I've predicted for this game, a 21-17 Ohio State win, Nebraska ran for 121 yards in that game. It was a little tougher 120 yards than you'd hope for. They only averaged 3.7 yards a carry. But the Michigan game is the one where Khalil Mullings, I think he ran for 116. Michigan ran for 172 total. 4.1 yards a carry. Like, that's about the best you can hope for against this defense.
If you think that's going to happen, then your score is on the money. Okay. Because also that means that you probably also think that Notre Dame might push 175 total rushing yards, which would be like double the output.
Because Riley Leonard does add to the total, but it also
carries the ball a lot. Like, I mean, like, you know,
it's also sucking possessions away from Ohio State.
Yeah, right.
It probably reduces Ohio State's possessions by 2 in the game if this happens.
Yeah. That's right. So, like, and I also think too, like, in terms of like the path to win, like, yeah, I mean, like your take here is nuclear. I don't know what flavor we're gonna go
or
with,
nuclear. If we're pronouncing,
I can't pronounce that word correctly, and I've said it 1,000 times on the show. And
it's okay. You
1,000 times I've said it wrong.
There's been a sitting U.S. president served 2 terms that call it nuclear.
I legitimately don't
too.
even know how I said it or how you said it. Like, that didn't.
Nuclear is what you said.
Nuclear
is how it's pronounced.
Nuclear is how I said it.
Yes.
Nuclear is how. Oh, come on. That's like, what is that? Tomato? Give me a break. I mean, that wasn't even that bad.
It's kind of the way it's spelled versus not the way it's spelled, but
whatever.
That's okay.
And also, too, in English, there's no correlation between how words are pronounced and how they're spelled. So save me with that shit, okay?
This is true. All right, back to Jeremiyah Love, who I'm predicting will go nuclear on Monday night. Now, I don't know that he doesn't do it, I don't think, in one run like he did against Indiana. Like, that's asking too much, probably. And the Ohio State defense is very fast. It's going to be really hard to break one like that.
And if he does get there and he hits like 80 yards on one play, like that, I don't think that's the type of 100 that you want either, right?
No, I'm talking about grinding it out.
5, 4,
if he can average 5 yards a carry against this defense, you're doing all right.
And actually have a bunch of carries, because he only carried the ball 11 times against Penn State. Now he's banged up. You know, I don't know how that's going to, like, that's the other thing too. It's like, if you think he's going to get there, you also, you know, have to, assume or hope that he's 100% physically able to carry the ball 22 times.
Yeah. Now, that touchdown run against Penn State is one of the best touchdown runs I've ever seen in my life.
1-yard run I've ever seen in my life. And I saw the
it was incredible.
I saw the Braxton Miller one at Penn State. Do you remember that 1-yard touchdown run? Does that come to mind?
Mm-hmm.
That was the craziest run I'd seen in person from 1 yards out. I had never seen Jeremiyah Love figure out a way to outdo it, because
we had an incredible vantage point for Jeremiyah Love's touchdown run against Penn State, because the press box at Hard Rock Stadium is the old baseball press box from when the Marlins played there. So it's kind of the corner of the stadium, and you're looking at what used to be home plate. Well, he ran it into that corner of the end zone. So we had a just perfect bird's eye view of that. It was incredible because he comes through the hole and there is a tackler that right there diving at his knees. And you're like, well, he's done. He somehow gets out of that and then bounces it outside. And then there's two guys. And they didn't just hit him. They tried to drive him through the center of the earth. And he still fought his way over them and placed the ball on the goal line. It was incredible.
Yeah. Andy, let's go to mine because mine feeds into yours a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
My take is that the Lou Holtz thing is funny.
From last year.
The Ryan Day rant post-game last year on television of I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now is funny. And a lot of people, including
I was
myself,
standing there when he said it, and I was just like, oh, he went there.
I want to know where Lou Holtz is right now. And it's a funny thing to say because why are you picking on Lou? Or not picking on, but like taking a shot at Lou Holtz.
I know. I was like, it's past Lou Holtz's bedtime. What are we doing here?
I've been watching the game, man. But I think that the second part of the take, though, isn't that it's just funny, but it also gives us a key into his psychology. And I think that his psychology is that he is highly offended when people, assert or suggest that Ohio State's not a hard-nosed, pounded-out football team.
Yeah,
and
he's like Marty McFly when you call him chicken.
He hates it, and I think that thought process or the accusation that Ohio State's not tough has impacted the way that he's called games in big moments. And that to me is a really pretty hot take. I think that wanting to beat Michigan at their own game is a key into that psychology. I think that Notre Dame, funny enough, Ohio State's two potential national championship matchups are against teams that Ohio State's played in the last 2 years are very familiar with Ohio State. And I don't know that that's the best thing for Ohio State. Like Ohio State probably would have rather played Georgia or somebody from the other side of the bracket that is foreign. Because
number four not being on Ohio State's team the last time they played. See, I think and Marcus Freeman's a defensive guy, obviously. Now, I think the Notre Dame offense versus Ohio State defense, yeah. Now, obviously, Mike Denbrock wasn't calling plays in that game. I think Notre Dame's probably upgraded on that front. But the fact that Jeremiyah Smith exists on Ohio State's roster now, like, it invalidates whatever your defensive game plan was for your game last year. It doesn't matter. It's going to have to be very different this year.
Here's the second part of the take, Andy. If I were Marcus Freeman, I would call Ohio State a finesse team in an interview leading up to it. You know that joint news conference?
Yes.
I would
Sunday morning.
I would stoke the fire. I would say, Ohio State hasn't illustrated the ability to run the ball, and we're going to attack that. Like bait Ryan Day into playing that game, because your score 21-17 Ohio State could certainly be 21-17 Notre Dame. Like, that is their pathway to win, to get Ohio State to forget who they are again and to play into your hand is exactly what Notre Dame is hoping for. And
this is the psychological warfare I'm here for, Ari. I want this.
I know you wrote about Ohio State today. Maybe for Friday, I'm going to write this as a column of it's always been Ohio against the world. It's going to continue to be Ohio against the world. This is a tough team. This is a resilient team. Like it was like a manufactured speech of all the talking points he has to say when you prove you can beat somebody at the goal line. Like, it's like, do you buy this, or do you think I'm nuts? Is this tinfoil hat Wednesday?
No. This is galaxy brain. This is tremendous. Like you've cracked the code here.
Yeah, I would.
You have cracked the code.
Power just to say, yeah, I would bring the Michigan game into it. And I don't know if you think talking before the game has an impact, but I guarantee you,
I don't think Marcus Freeman would do it for various reasons. One, that he is a former Ohio State player. But if he wanted to really just unload it and try all of the psychological,
I would do it in a subtle way.
Bring up the Michigan game in the Sunday press conference with Ryan Day sitting right there. Like, we watched the Michigan game, and they really took it to Ohio State. Ohio State looked kind of soft in that game. We think we can exploit some of that.
But I think that there's a difference because, if you look at like what James Franklin did to Marcus Freeman in their joint press conference. That was the lead of my story yesterday, saying, how old are you? And look at this hairline like that. Pete Sampson wrote a really interesting story at The Athletic after that.
Same hairline as James Franklin, by the way, Pete Sampson.
But yeah, that's right. But it bothered him. And he used it in the locker room at halftime. And I thought that was interesting. Is there a way that Marcus Freeman could say something that isn't just an outrageous soundbite that everybody would go crazy on, but layer it in there subtly? I don't know, just be we found that Ohio State's had trouble moving the football on the ground at times, or we're going to something that asserts that.
I don't think you can say that with the other coach sitting right there without it coming across as a declaration of war. But, yeah.
But that's the thing. Don't you kind of want to declare war?
You do, but But if it's too obvious, Day's going to dismiss it. You got to get inside his head. If it's really obvious, he's like, oh, I see what you're doing here. Let's throw 8 times to Jeremiah Smith in the first quarter.
We've played more games in Ohio State this year in fourth quarter battles where the game is won on the ground, and we feel pretty good about how we're battle tested. Something
Bingo.
Like that.
You got it. You should be like a political speechwriter.
I don't know about that, but
this is perfect.
Politics. I think that, but I do think though that if Notre Dame can get Ohio State to play that game, they have a real chance to win.
Yeah, and the problem is I think Ohio State was punished so severely for making that mistake that they will just not make that mistake again.
But at the Texas game, there were drives where they started to kind of regress to that. I don't know if you noticed that.
I think that's because Texas has some dogs on the defense. So
does Notre Dame.
I know.
Good. Michigan has dogs on their defense too. It's. I'm not saying that Purdue could go to Ohio State into this, but Notre Dame has the personnel to try to because that's the thing. If you go look at Ohio State's losses outside of the Oregon game this year, but going back even to last year, all the games they lose are because the games are played on the opponent's terms. How do you get Ohio State to play the game on your terms?
Yeah, you're right. And Notre Dame has shown that the terms it plays best on are the ones that beats Ohio State. That style, that formula is what Ohio State's kryptonite is, such as it is. I don't think they really have a kryptonite at this point.
Ryan Day to grind his teeth while you're talking about the toughness of his team somehow.
Wait, I got it. Marcus Freeman in that joint press conference on Sunday goes, I'm going to take some questions, but first, I just want to honor the last Notre Dame coach to win a national title, the person I'm trying to emulate here, the great Lou Holtz. And then Lou Holtz comes out.
Has he talked yet?
For 2 minutes, and then we start the press conference.
Has Lou Holtz talked yet about this?
I don't think so.
I'm sure he'll be at the game. Anyway, yeah. So that's my take. Does River have one?
Yeah. Let's go, River. What we got?
All right. So Ari, since you're backing out on the Irish, you come on day one, you're like, Irish are winning, going undefeated, and now you're backing off. You're taking Ohio State
undefeated in the regular season.
Oh yeah, and they didn't even
that's
do
a different.
But I will take the bait. I'll take Notre Dame to win, but in order for them to win, they have to have a defensive or a special teams touchdown. They have to do it. You got the 2 pick sixes to solidify the USC game in the last week of the season, and then you have the end of the first half, force the fumble, get a score, and then kickoff return against Georgia. That was really the key for them to win. So I think Notre Dame, they just find a way. They continue to find a way, and they'll do it. They'll do it again in Atlanta, and it'll be miraculous how they do it because you got to have a big play. You got to have a big kickoff return, interception return, something or to get the juices flowing.
I mean, I actually
like Jack Sawyer did.
Think it's funny that all three of us, if all three of our things came true, that they could win. Those are the Jeremiah.
But that's how hard it is for them to win, because the 3 things that we've said, me, Jeremiah Love going off in a way that really only one player's gone off on Ohio State all year. Marcus Freeman incepting a bad game plan into Ryan Day's head during the press conference, and then River with just all of it comes together in the greatest of ways. I just that just proves why Ohio State is more than a touchdown favorite in this game.
Dude, just get Ryan Day to run the ball on 3rd and 2 behind that offensive line. Don't get him to throw it. Get him to run it.
Ferris, who's a Michigan fan in the chat, says, hire a Connor Stallions lookalike. Put him on the sidelines with a clipboard and sunglasses. That aura alone will beat Ohio State. I mean, honestly, that would be hysterical. Like, not someone who actually looks like Connor Stallions looks now, but someone who looks like Connor Stallions in disguise at the Central Michigan game. Like, that would be tremendous. Like, maybe even in the Central Michigan gear.
Now we're cooking.
I'm trying to figure out what actor you could hire to play that. Like young Ethan Hawke with his head shaved.
Yes. Ethan Hawke would disappear into the role of Connor Stallions. I would love to see that. Shadow Hokey.
Who's the really handsome
picking
dude
Notre Dame means they lose.
The really handsome dude from This Is Us. I don't know if you watched that show, but I
didn't.
It's on in the house sometimes because my wife.
Oh, you asked Ari if Lou Holtz has talked. He has. He did an interview with Rob Aller of the Columbus Dispatch.
He did? Okay.
Yeah. This was last week or Sunday of this week, and he actually was pretty empathetic towards Ryan Day. And I understand that, like, as a coach who's had some really high profile jobs, he would understand better than almost anybody what Ryan Day was dealing with this year. And so here's what he said about that, having that kind of job. He goes, this is to Rob Aller, the Columbus Dispatch. One day you're drinking the wine and the next day you're picking the grapes. Holtz said of the constant tug of war between being hailed as hero and treated like hell. You have to stay in the present moment because you have an obligation to your players to give them every chance to win. So that was his advice to Ryan Day.
And Ryan
so
Day, you're soft.
Exactly. That's what he should have said if he wants Notre Dame to win. If he wants Notre Dame to lose, he should be like, Ryan Day should tell Chip Kelly to throw the ball to Jeremiyah Smith as much as possible.
Yeah. And like Lou Holtz is somebody who's actually been pretty important. Like, I don't know if I'm imagining this, but I don't think I am. But like, isn't Lou Holtz like one of Urban Meyer's mentors and idols?
Yes, very much so. And he's worked at Ohio State. Like, he worked at Ohio State early in his career. So,
which is why it's kind of a funny villain. But the Lou Holtz thing is the blueprint. And like, if everybody makes these jokes about Ohio State just can't beat Michigan, wear Michigan uniforms, like, I do think that there's like a 15%. Notre Dame has 15% of that aura because they played them close. Lou Holtz, there's something there.
I like it. Now, normally I'm half checked out at those Sunday press conferences because nobody ever says anything fun. Now I'm going to be on high alert. I'm going to be parsing every word Marcus Freeman says because I don't know if he watches this show, but he's got friends who do. Maybe they slip it to him. Now, some of those friends who we talk to every once in a while, like your General Bob Carpenter, that type of person, like, they're all in on Ohio State, of course. But, that ex-Ohio State linebacker group chat that also includes Marcus Freeman, some of those guys do watch our show and can kind of slide this his way.
Yeah.
But they want the Buckeyes to win, so they probably won't slide your tremendous idea. Like, I'm in. I just want to see Marcus Freeman incept the wrong game plan into Ryan Day's head at a press conference. Is that even possible?
Before we go, I mean, just like a Notre Dame reporter could just ask Ryan Day if he thinks that they need to run the ball more effectively or something. Like a reporter could do it. But should we rank the spice level of these and who wins?
Yes, we should. I mean, mine you said was nuclear, so I think mine wins.
Yours is pretty.
Yours is better.
Mine is better, but I don't know if it's spicier.
Yeah, I think mine's the spiciest. I think River took both of ours together and then created like a super take. So maybe his is the spiciest.
Yeah, they will win if the really rare thing that might or may not happen happens.
No, he's saying that's gonna happen.
You're saying that's going to happen?
Yeah. I think River wins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the least likely, I think. So, yeah. But
Yours is the funniest, though.
Did you see that somebody posted the DraftKings odds for Jeremiyah Love reaching 100 yards as like half to 1? Yeah.
If I'm right, you're going to win some money.
I also just don't know that he's going to carry the ball enough to get there unless he breaks off a big one like he did against Indiana. So, now here's the take. Jeremiah Smith Jeremiyah Love. There's two Jeremiahs in this game.
Two really good Jeremiahs in this game.
Yeah,
it's killing us. They spell their names differently, though.
And Riley Leonard will combine for 125 yards, I think is like a pretty good way to look at it.
I think so. I do. I think that's a very good way to look at it. So we'll see if they can pull it off. But I'm excited. Now I'm excited for that Sunday press conference. We're going to have a fun show tomorrow. We are scheduled to talk later today with the great Joel Klatt of Fox Sports, the commissioner of college football, Joel Klatt. I know everybody wants Nick Saban, but I think Joel's already kind of assumed the role. So we'll have the commissioner on. Also, Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl, who has both of the quarterbacks from the national title game coming to his game in Mobile. He's going to break down the Will Howard versus Riley Leonard matchup in a way that is far more scientific than Ari and I can. We'll talk to you tomorrow.